Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. The Oklahoma State Cowboys come in at number 8 and are way too early top 25 after literally falling inches short from the college football playoff in 2021. The Cowboys instead went 12-2, falling to Baylor in that Big 12 championship game before leading a 21-point comeback against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl to win that game 37-35. Mike Gundy calling that one of, if not the biggest win in program history. The Cowboys now are looking to once again get back to the Big 12 championship, win it this time, remain a college football playoff contender, and hope to navigate what ultimately is a relatively favorable schedule in 2022. So guys, before we jump into the Oklahoma State analysis, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. We want you to become a part of our Gridiron Expert team. It's free of charge. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. We want you to become a part of our team, part of the GE Nation, so you can receive nonstop college football coverage year-round. 24/7, 365. We are here talking college football predictions, analysis, recaps, interviews. You guys tell us what to do. We're going to do it, and we want you to be a part of our team. So please continue to do that. Like, comment, subscribe, and help our channel grow. So we continue to take a look at Oklahoma State, guys, before we jump into the schedule that, again, when I'm looking at it, looks pretty good, looks pretty solid. But you look at the Cowboys, they have a lot of big personnel losses. One of the bigger ones isn't even on the field. It's one of their coaches. Their defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles surprised a lot of people by leaving Oklahoma State to go to Ohio State. So he will now be the defensive coordinator for the Buckeyes after leading what was one of the better defenses in the country last year in Stillwater. Oklahoma State also loses their top 2 tacklers in Malcolm Rodriguez and Devin Harper. They lose their star safety in Colby Harvell-Peel. This is a defense that, again, was great last year, has the potential to be good again this year, just has a lot of key pieces that they've got to replace. The offense, ultimately, at least early on, to me, is what's going to carry Oklahoma State. It's going to carry the Cowboys because they've got a very experienced and veteran quarterback under center in Spencer Sanders. The offense, again, remains mostly intact. Yes, they lose a handful of key starters here and there, but the offense, to me, is in a better place than the defense, and that could be the difference maker early on in Oklahoma State season and maybe even down the stretch as they try to get back to the Big 12 championship and try to get into the college football playoff, which has eluded them for years and years and years under Mike Gundy. So we take a look at their schedule. It's not bad. It's not bad. You know, there's a handful of Big 12 title contenders this year, guys. There's only a handful. But to me, this is one of the few years that's been more wide open than it's been in years past. You know, Oklahoma, many expect them to contend once again for a Big 12 title, but they do not have Lincoln Riley. They have a handful of questions, more so than they've had in recent years. Texas, 5-7 last year. Who knows if they're going to jump up and become contenders in a span of just 1 year. Oklahoma State is in the mix. Baylor won it last year. They absolutely are up there. Again, if you had to choose the top 2 teams in the Big 12, it very well could be Baylor and Oklahoma State. They could be on a crash course to meet again in that Big 12 championship game. So it is a wide open conference among the conference elites, and Oklahoma State is up there. So the path to the championship is not easy, but very doable. They opened the year against Central Michigan, Arizona State, and Arkansas Pine Bluff, UAPB. Those should be 3 wins right there for Oklahoma State. The Arizona State game in Week 2 is the most intriguing. It's going to be a fun one to watch. Arizona State going through some personal issues and some personal program issues right now. Jaden Daniels not going to be with the team, obviously transferring out. And so this is an Oklahoma State team that should be able to take care of the Sun Devils, especially with the game being in Stillwater. Anything less than a 3-0 start is going to be a disappointment for Mike Gundy's squad. The downside to this schedule that I'm looking at right now is the fact that they get a bye week so early. They get their bye week at the beginning of September, which means they have to play 9 straight conference games. 9 straight conference games with no breaks. And that's unfortunate for Oklahoma State. That's a tough place, a tough break to get a bye week after playing what should be 2 easy wins, maybe a tougher battle against Arizona State there. So you kind of want that bye week to come maybe mid-October, not at the end of the first month of the season. But anyways, that's how it's lined up. Their first game out of the bye week is against none other than Baylor. How fitting is that? Oklahoma State beat the Bears in the regular season last year, beat them 24-14, and then fell to Baylor in the Big 12 championship game 21-16. So their first conference game, first game out of the bye week, is a road game in Waco against the Bears, and you can bet your money that Oklahoma State's going to want revenge over Baylor. You You can bet your money they're not going to be looking to fall inches short to the Bears this year. But Waco, difficult place to play. Baylor, a lot of returning talent this year. Got great quarterbacks, whether it's Gary Bohannon or Blake Shapen. The defense should once again be very solid under Dave Aranda. This is not a shoe-in victory for Oklahoma State, and there's a chance, guys, that the Cowboys could lose in October 1st. Could be 3-1 after October 1st. Doesn't mean they're out of the title race, doesn't mean they're out of the playoff race, but they very well could lose early to the Bears. Would not be shocked to see that, but as we always say, it's better to lose early than it is to lose late. So the Baylor game is going to be very tough, and it actually kicks off the 4-game stretch that we think is the most important for the Cowboys. Baylor, Texas Tech, TCU, Texas. To me, that is the toughest stretch of games for Oklahoma State in 2022. Baylor, of course, being the most difficult, but Texas Tech, while Oklahoma State annihilated the Red Raiders last year 23-0, the Red Raiders have a brand new head coach in Joey McGuire. They've recruited extremely well. Expectations are high for a Red Raiders team that finally got to the postseason last year and won their bowl game over Mississippi State. They then traveled to TCU. Oklahoma State beat them 63-17. But the Horned Frogs get to host this game. They've got a new coach in Sonny Dykes, and they're looking to really revitalize, rejuvenate that offense that used to be so good under Gary Patterson, but has slowly begun to tank. If Oklahoma State's defense is not up to par or still is continuing to struggle, TCU could exploit that. Remember, TCU, up and down last year, pulled off an upset over Baylor, 30-28 in Fort Worth. That game ultimately kept Baylor out of the college football playoff. TCU is capable of winning this game, especially with it being at home. Then the Cowboys take on Texas. So to me, it's the bookends of the bigger games here, Baylor and Texas. They can't afford to overlook Tech and TCU, but Baylor and Texas are going to be the most difficult there. The Texas game, Oklahoma State beat them 32-24 last year. They get to host this game in Stillwater. Last few years, we have seen tons of one-possession games between the Cowboys and the Longhorns. Would not be surprised to see it be another one-possession game this year. But Texas is quite the anomaly. Every year we say they're back. Every year people think they're going to be elite, and they continue to fall just short. It's a huge make-or-break year for Steve Sarkisian in year 2 down in Austin. Getting a win on the road against Oklahoma State would really, really help him, especially if Texas is struggling prior to this game. Then you look at the rest of Oklahoma State's schedule. Again, that's their toughest 4-game stretch in my opinion. That's the toughest 4-game stretch. Baylor and Texas being the biggest two. Can't afford to overlook the two in the middle. But in the regular season, Oklahoma State beat every single one of those opponents. And they blew out Tech and TCU and actually beat Baylor by 10 in the regular season last year. They get into the final little stretch of the season. Kansas State beat them by 11. We've seen some close battles between the Wildcats and the Cowboys last few years. But again, I think Oklahoma State right now would be the better team over the Wildcats, who have just been mediocre under Chris Klieman. 6, 7, maybe even 8 wins, but never really more than that. At Kansas, shouldn't have to say much else. Beat them 55-3. Still going to struggle under Lance Leipold for the Jayhawks. Iowa State, Oklahoma, West Virginia, those 3 are not ideal to conclude the season, but 2 of those do come at home. Oklahoma State will be looking to avenge their loss to Iowa State last year, team they lost to 24-21. But let's keep in mind that Iowa State loses tons from last year's team, one that was a major disappointment anyways. They lose Brock Purdy, they lose Breece Hall, they lose a lot of key starters on defense. An Iowa State team that many thought would win the Big 12 last year only won 7 games. And again, Oklahoma State now gets to host the Cyclones. They don't care who's there, they're just looking to get revenge. And they very well could get it. West Virginia, season finale, beat them by 21 last year, 24-3. That's senior night for them. It's that game in the middle, bedlam, against Oklahoma on the road that ultimately could make or break Oklahoma State's season when it's all said and done. Let's say they lose to Baylor, and we're just hypothetically, we're not predicting anything, but if they are a one-loss team coming into this Oklahoma game, they lose to Oklahoma, the playoff hopes are done. Big 12 title hopes could be done, depending on how the Sooners are doing. But if they are an undefeated or one-loss team coming into this Oklahoma game, and they beat the Sooners, the path to the playoff is very clear. Just beat West Virginia and win the Big 12 championship. Easier said than done, but if there's one team that's going to ruin everything for Oklahoma State, it's, of course, going to be their in-state rival, Oklahoma, who the Cowboys finally beat last year. After years and years and years of being unable to do it, they finally beat Oklahoma last year, 37-33. And you can bet that the Sooners are going to be looking out to get revenge over the Cowboys, even though they cleared house. New quarterback, new coach, new everything. Oklahoma still is going to be looking to take down the Cowboys, and the game is in Norman. That game ultimately is probably the biggest game on Oklahoma State's schedule. It doesn't fall in that key 4-game stretch, But if the Cowboys play the way we think they're going to play, if they are as good as we think they're going to be, and they come into this Oklahoma game undefeated or just at one loss, that Oklahoma game on the road is the biggest game on their schedule and will ultimately define the entire year. Are the Cowboys college football playoff contenders? Are they Big 12 title contenders? Will they finally win the Big 12? All of that, to me, will be decided on November 19th. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Again, we want you to be a part of our Gridiron Expert team. Become a part of the GE Nation by subscribing to us so you don't miss out on any more college football content for the rest of the year. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.